How is your day so far?
Well, I've had a great day. I did some gardening, went and bought some plants, and had a nice dinner with friends. So, yeah, it's been a great day. Can't complain.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name's Irene. I'm currently the Vice President of Education at Roehampton Students Union, and I'm originally from Chicago, but I've lived in London for 4 years now. Yeah, coming up on 4 years at the end of this August. So very soon, hitting that 4-year mark. And yeah, I studied education studies, and now I'm wanting to work in education, and I'll be an elected officer for the next year.
What inspired you to study education?
It's kind of funny actually, because when I originally went to study, I wanted to study primary education because I wanted to become a teacher. But it wasn't because I had this one teacher that really inspired me. It was actually the opposite. I felt that I didn't have many good teachers, and I wanted to be a good teacher. So I thought that a lot of kids need good teachers. I think that's a lot of kids, they get their role models through school. That's where they meet their first mentor, where you meet your first inspiration, where you meet the first person that you're really learning from outside of your family. And I wanted to be that. Sounds kind of cliche, but I wanted to be that role model. I wanted to be that person for kids that I wouldn't say I didn't have, because I did have really great teachers that I am very grateful for. But I think that a lot of teachers go into it and they don't have the energy to give that they need to give in the profession. So I wanted to be that person for someone, hopefully.
What does a day in your life look like?
I feel like every day looks really, really different, I would say, because of the nature of my job. Every day is just something different. You know, one day you could be visiting Parliament, and then the next day you could be running a donation drive or running a green week, or, you know, just it could be completely different things. One day you're answering emails, the next day, you know, I'm walking a marathon for men's mental health or something. So every day work-wise looks different, but I do really value routine. I'm a very structured person. So I don't know, some people might think it's boring, but you know, I'm a meal prep person. I make my meal preps on Sundays. So I do my grocery shop, I do my meal prep, and then I'm all ready for the week. So, you know, I wake up. Now I live by work, so I'm lazy and I wake up late. But I wake up, I go to work. I'm lucky that I live so close to work, so I come home for lunch a lot of the days now. Then I come home. I've taken up a new job. I wouldn't really call it a job, but I take care of the cats on campus now. So after work, I go around campus and I feed 6 different cats. So I go, I wrap up work around 5 o'clock, and then I go do my visits to the different cats and feed them. And it's actually kind of cute. I sound like a crazy cat lady now, but then too, so I feed the cats, then I walk home from work, and it's funny actually, it's become a new favorite part of every day. But there's this little white cat that lives a couple of houses down, and every day, when I'm going to work or coming home, she comes out every single time, and she's waiting for me to pet her. So I pet her, and then I come home and normally just make dinner, hang out with my flatmates. I recently joined the gym, so trying to get on the fitness grind. But yeah, that's kind of a typical day.
You know, everyone faces challenges. What would be some of the biggest challenges you have faced in your life?
I don't know how to say this really, but I feel like growing up, I always kind of felt like there was something not working right kind of in my mind, I would say. And I always kind of felt this way, but mental health wasn't really something that was talked about in my family. So if I would be oh, I feel like I can't focus, or I feel you know, I feel down, it would just be oh, you know, you're fine, get over it, move on kind of mindset. And I think that I didn't really see it as a big challenge when I was a kid and growing up and stuff like that. But then I think that when I got to university, actually, I kind of really struggled keeping up in school and things like that. And I never really had an explanation as to like why that was until like I, had moved out and was on my own, and I'd, gone to the doctors when I was an adult and could go find out like, what was going on. And like I found out like later on, obviously like I have ADHD and anxiety, but I never knew that I had any of these things like growing up. And I don't think like there's something that's made my life like incredibly difficult or anything, but I think that having the answer to why like certain things were certain ways for me that like, my peers and friends weren't feeling, having that diagnosis or that explanation, I think that really helped me. So I think that was kind of something that was like a challenge growing up, was like not knowing why I was feeling the way I was feeling and not being validated or being able to figure out why that was. So I think I would say that was kind of a hard thing, I guess.
What keeps you motivated when things get tough?
I would say remembering why you started in the first place. So I think when we start anything, I think that's when before we've actually started it, when we have the idea for something, or we've signed up for something, enrolled in something, applied for something, whatever it might be, that's when you have the most motivation, the most passion, like the most energy, and you're really excited about something, But then obviously, whether it's school or a job or, something that you just need to get done, you lose that initial excitement. And it's so easy to do, but I think just bringing yourself back to that every time and really like not just thinking about it, but really like visualizing that moment and remembering why you started in the first place. For me, that'll always give me motivation to keep at it.
What is the biggest lessons you have learned in your life?
Yeah, okay, so I do want to give a few answers to this, but the one I'll start with is I think it's like a bit controversial because people always say like people don't change, but I would challenge that, and I would say that I firmly believe like that people do change and people are capable of change. And I think I did learn that, I would say, when I was 16. So you've met my dad, he's like a really nice, really great person, but he wasn't always like that. And I don't want to speak badly on him in any like way, shape or form, but I would just like, to keep it brief, I would just say when we were growing up, he wasn't the best person. Like he was not a good person, and we did not have a good relationship, I would say. But then when I was 16, actually, he got really, really sick, and he fell into a diabetic coma, and he was in the coma for 10 days. So he was in the hospital for about 3 weeks, actually. But he was in a coma for 10 of those days, and it was a really scary time. But I feel bad like saying this actually, but at the time, like my brother and I don't want to say we didn't care, but we didn't have like the relationship to like really be there at the time, and we didn't, spend the time in the hospital. We didn't spend the time with him, which of course like I do regret, but at the time it just like that's how it was. And then following on that experience, I think not visiting him was very much a wake-up call for him to change and get everything in order for himself. And I think he really did make the change, because from before that to who he is now, it's a completely different person, like 360. Like, he's like one of the nicest, most genuine, like funny, caring people I know. And we have a really great relationship now, and we're really close. But that took work, after he got out of the hospital, like he went and he like really sorted his life out. Like he got his everything together. Like, he went to like therapy, he went to like workout classes, he did like everything on the planet actually. He did like Tai Chi, he did meditation, he did Qigong, like he did all of these different things. But he was like so dedicated to like changing himself and his patterns and his ways, and he really committed to that. And he did just completely change as a person. And yeah, I'm really grateful for like the friendship and relationship we have now. So yeah, I would just say like the lesson from that, of course, like it doesn't need to be that dramatic, but people can change. I think sometimes it just takes something for them to realize that they need to change themselves from within. Like you can't change people, but they can change themselves, I would say. Yeah, that's a really big one. Yeah, so I think kind of like on the back of that one would be like to spend time with your family, whether you love them or like, I don't want to say love them or hate them, but like they're your family at the end of the day. So like spend quality time with your family. Like don't just go see them when it's like the holidays. Don't just go see them when you need to or because like your mom's asking you to, like go see your family. Like you were given like the family you were given for a reason, whether you get on perfect or you don't. You know, I think that we need to learn our families and learn how to get along with them. And obviously like not everyone has that situation, but I think that if you do, like don't take advantage of that. Like be grateful for every moment you do have, because when, you know, time comes, like you never want to like be regretting the time you didn't spend, and be grateful for all the time you did have. So I think that's a big one on the back of that. And then my like last kind of one is just it's about like the victim mentality, I guess. I don't know how to say this exactly, but I think I'm a big believer in kind of like what you think is like what you attract. So I think that a lot of people I've known, and I think even at parts of my life I've like thought like this, but I think that like, you know, if you're the type of person that's saying like, if you have a victim mentality and you're like, oh, bad things always happen to me, bad things always happen to me, I don't know why these things always happen to me, blah, blah, blah. Like those things are going to keep happening to you. And I think that's like, I don't know, I guess it's like, to me, I see it as like, I'll call it like, you know, oh, like we're having high vibration. Like it sounds a bit silly, but like when things keep going right, I'm like, oh, we must be vibrating on a really high level. But it's like, it sounds silly, but it's like, you know, it's just like when everything's going right and we're like, oh, things are going right. Like, oh, I just got this. Oh, this just worked out. Or I just got an email from this person, or whatever it is, like just good news on good news on good news. Then you start like inviting more good news. But then when you're down and you're like, oh, this always happens, always me, then more of these bad things keep happening. It's like, again, like, why is this happening? But it's because I feel like you're opening this like energy of like negative things happening to you, and you're creating this narrative that like bad things always happen. So then they do happen. But then when you keep saying, I'm so lucky, then lucky things do happen. So I think like your thoughts, to an extent, like they create your reality. And if you focus on good, everything starts to become better. And when you focus on bad, everything starts to get worse. So yeah, focus on the good, I guess, is the lesson.
If you could give advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Okay, so my first one, I have a few pieces of advice, because I made a lot of mistakes in my youth. So I would give myself lots of advice. But firstly, I think I did do this, might have gotten me into trouble a few times, but I would say speak to everyone, like talk to everyone, like don't, you know, hold yourself back, like from meeting new people, like from new experiences, like just talk to people you meet. Like I think that every person that you meet has something to learn from, or something to take away. So don't like close yourself off to new people, whether it's someone you don't think you would ever talk to for whatever reason, or if like it's someone from completely different background or completely like anything completely different than you. Those are exactly the people you do want to talk to, because you can learn so much from them. So I'd definitely say like keep doing that, because I did do that. But okay, so my second piece of advice to my younger self, I would say it's one I think I didn't realize until later on, because I was so focused always on saving money, like I would always like put away everything. But then I got to a point I was like, what am I actually saving for? Like, yeah, of course, like a house maybe, but it's like you're young, Like, why do you need to save all this? So I think the lesson there is kind of like money comes and goes, but experiences are forever. And so I think that's a big one, because it's like, you know, it's true. Like, you know, you will have a lot of money at points, you won't have money at points, but like your memories, what you experience, where you travel, where you go, that does last forever. And I think that, you know, I never really thought about life like that, I think, actually, until I met Victoria. So I would say I think before we became really good friends, that's when I was more like save money, save money, save money. And then I met Victoria, and she just had like this carefree, like live life, like have fun, you know, personality. And we just got on really well, and she would always invite me to come on these trips. And I don't know, some people might say, oh, it's a bad influence because she was like always like, oh, you have money, it's fine, let's go, let's go. But then, you know, that I think the first year we were friends, we always talk about this year, it was like we had the best, like absolute best time of our lives. Like the first year we knew each other, actually within the first like couple weeks we knew each other, we went on a road trip from London to Scotland. A week after that we booked a trip to Spain. Like we were going everywhere. The first year we knew each other, we traveled to 10 countries together. And before that I had only been out of the country twice. So, you know, she was definitely like big on like experiencing life, living life to the fullest. Like, you don't know if you're gonna be here tomorrow. Like, just go, like live your life, you know. Of course, I think always have like a bit of like money, just in case money, you know, screw you money. If you ever need to leave a job, or if you ever need to like get out of a situation, always have that little bit of like screw you money to get out of a situation. But yeah, still like go spend that money, it'll come back. Yeah, that's my advice. And then, okay, so my third piece of advice to my younger self, this would more so be like in a work context, but also it could apply like generally. It would be that you're never not worth a seat at the table. So if you have a seat at a table, you're meant to be there. So never feel that you're in a room, at a table, anywhere that you shouldn't be. You know, if you're in a table and you're like the most junior member of staff there, everyone around you is important person A, B, and C. They've all got salaries 5 to 6, 7 times more than you do. You still belong in that room just as everyone else does. And so I guess it's more of like a imposter syndrome. Like, don't feel like you're not supposed to be somewhere. But I think that's a really big one, because I think especially like starting out of uni in like a kind of like senior leadership type of role, I felt like really underqualified at times, like not like I was supposed to be there, or didn't have anything meaningful to contribute, or people wouldn't take me seriously if I spoke. But I don't think there was ever a reason I wasn't supposed to be there. And I think like there's always something you can contribute, and always like something that other people can learn from you, the same way that you can learn something from anyone there. Like they can also learn something from you, and you've equally earned your place at that table. So don't underestimate that, don't devalue that, and like just be confident in yourself, and like realize that you deserve that place. So don't, you know, undervalue that.
What's one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
If I were to say something funny, I would just say like that I eat a lot.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No.
Yes, I do. You just don't see me eat a lot. I always come home and I eat a lot.
So, anything else, or are we good with that?
Okay, well, if I were to be serious, I would say I'm writing a book. Yes. So I feel like that's kind of my baby, so I don't talk about it too much, because I'm like, you know, evil eye, don't wanna, you know.
Let's keep it that way.
Let's keep it that way.
What is that one thing which gives your life meaning or purpose?
I would like the first answer that would come to mind would be my mom. I think that my mom, she like sacrificed so much for like my brother and I, and she really just did like everything to give us like the life that we have. And so I think now I feel that in everything I do, I'm like striving to give that back to her. You know, I think that in work, in anything I do, any choices I make, I'm always thinking about my mom in the back of my head. Like, you know, if I make the wrong decision, how will that affect her? You know, things like this. So I think that she gives me like a lot of motivation and like purpose and like something to work towards, because I think like even before like thinking about buying myself a house or anything like that, it's like I'm always thinking, oh, I want to buy my mom a house one day. So I think that's a big one for me. Yeah.
Favorite book?
The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Amazing. Have to read it.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote would just be, "The journey is the destination."
Favorite movie?
That's harder. Favorite movie? Why can I not even think of a movie? What's my favorite movie? What's my favorite movie? I don't know what my favorite movie is.
Favorite sport?
Ice hockey.
Favorite country?
Portugal.
Favorite song?
Brazil by Declan McKenna.
Favorite dish?
Like any type of pasta.
If you could share a message with the world, what would that be?
Okay, I feel like I kind of said it earlier, but I think that my message would just be to never like judge someone by like their culture, their place of birth, or where they've come from. I think that all humans are, at the end of the day, we all have way more similarities than differences, and we often overlook that. You know, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all just need love, like food and water and shelter. You know, we all have that in common, no matter where we come from, what we believe in, who we pray to, anything. So I think, you know, just don't put people in a box and just talk to everyone, like be nice to everyone, never judge someone because of their differences. Because if you pay attention, you actually will find that you'll have a lot more similarities than differences. So yeah, respect each other, love each other, we're all just humans.